I have not made a DC video in a while other than like my Flash review in a hot minute, but as far as news, there seemingly hasn't been anything unless like maybe I missed some stuff. We're gonna go over some stuff that I did miss, but for the most part, I don't think there's been a lot of stuff that I missed. From my knowledge, for the most part, it's been quiet as far as like leaks and stuff go for DC. For anything I'm personally excited for, as far as like the future of the Flash in general, Reeves Batman, I'm more excited for Supergirl than Superman. We do have some Supergirl stuff to talk about towards the end of the video. But yeah, I don't really think there's been much, but we do have a couple of recent things that just came out to talk about. With that, we're slowly approaching a new era of DC where after the Flash, the end of the Snyderverse or the DCEU is upon us. It has officially reboot from the DCEU into the DCU. So let's get into some talk about the future of the new DCU, including Superman, Flash, and some other concerns, and Supergirl. So first, let's go over what just happened with the Flash as far as like, you know, like what's going on with the Snyderverse. Is it gone now? I don't believe the DCEU is like completely wiped from existence type shit. Essentially, it's going to be a soft reboot rather than a hard reboot where many things will reset, but not everything. Some characters will remain and others won't. As for the characters that will remain, we don't really know yet, which is kind of why it's confusing at the moment. But you may be thinking, well, how will they remain if it's rebooted? Think about Netflix Daredevil and how that went from Netflix universe to now the MCU. Now, whether or not you think Netflix Daredevil is or isn't better than MCU Daredevil or vice versa, that's up to you, but I'm just talking about like just the concept itself of Netflix Daredevil going into the MCU. That's what some characters will be like. Gunn said he didn't compare it to Daredevil, but like that's what I'm comparing it to. So it could be that, or you know, like they could keep the same actor, but the character iteration is like completely new beginning with the DCU rather than the Snyderverse and then it being rebooted into the new universe, if that makes sense. With that, speaking of Gunn, he hasn't necessarily shined light on some of the more popular characters and what exactly will be happening with them either so far. He has talked a little bit about Batman and Superman, but that's it, and even then he hasn't really said much about them yet. We know about Superman Legacy, which I'm personally not really excited for. Again, just personally, I'm into Supergirl, not Superman, but they just revealed the castings for Superman Legacy. This happened like a week ago. So for Superman, we have David Corenswet. I'm sorry, that's a funny ass last name, bro. Anyway, yeah, so he's the new he's the new Superman. While on the other hand, they casted Lois Lane to be Rachel Brosnahan. Bro, I can't do this right now. I'm too baked like a cake. These last names are making me laugh. Anyway, I think these are two good castings. I can see both of them working good individually for their respective characters, but the problem is, will they have good chemistry? Because that's obviously very important for Clark Kent, aka Superman, and Lois Lane's relationship to work well. From my knowledge, the last two Superman and Lois Lane, like their chemistry / connection wasn't the best. I haven't really watched the last Superman movies, so I don't really know, but yeah, that's just what I've heard. So yeah, we don't really know about that yet, but you know, we'll see. Actually, speaking of James Gunn, let's get into some of the news James Gunn has dropped and also an interview he did as well. Then we can talk about the Flash and Supergirl. James Gunn actually had an interview with, I think, a Spanish outlet called El País. I don't know if I said that right. I probably didn't pronounce that right. But on the interview with El País, he said, "I don't think there's ever been a storyteller in charge. No one in the history of Hollywood has ever had an opportunity to tell the biggest story ever told across television, film, and games to have that type of creative outlet. So how the fuck could I say no?" As far as what he's saying, he's actually right from my knowledge. Who in Hollywood has told one big, cohesive, for the most part, coherent story that was a writer, director, etc.? And well, you may say, hello, Kevin Feige, but he's a producer, not a writer and or director like James Gunn. If you really want to argue, you could say Snyder was in control at some point of the DCEU, but even then, he had nowhere near as much power that like the same type of power that Gunn has right now over DC, not even close. But really quick, let's talk about the video game side of things, because he's mentioned this a couple times. Why connect the movies and TV with the games? Why can't we just create new stories and stuff for games? Like I personally feel like, especially depends like how the games will be connected. Will it be a necessary thing to keep up with the main story in the movies and TV shows? Because if so, that will probably suck, because you know, like what if there's just a game I don't want to buy and not interested to play, but it's crucial to, like, let's say for example Batman Brave and the Bold or Superwoman or Supergirl, what am I talking about, or just whatever, you know, now I feel forced to buy and play that game. That sucks. So I don't know how he's gonna tackle this whole video game angle. I don't think this is a good idea personally, but you know, we'll see. Do you think it's a good idea to incorporate video games into the overall bigger, cohesive story with the TV and movie side of DC? Or do you agree with me and think, no, it's a bad idea, or just, you know, why even bother? Just make new stories. As far as TV and movies, I think Peacemaker is getting a season 2 and is connected to the Suicide Squad movie. And when season 2 comes out of the Peacemaker, we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, we really don't know what's going on exactly with anything DCEU into DCU. James Gunn went on to say afterwards in this interview, "I'm hiring great directors and great writers. It's going to be interesting stuff. That's what I would rather make. Stuff that's interesting and doesn't work than stuff that is the same old we have seen again and again." And like, I feel like I totally get where he's coming from. I love that. He wants to, you know, like make different and unique comic book movies. Hats off to you, James, for, you know, wanting to be more unique, take the initiative and try and tell stories in new ways or different ways. But the problem with that is you're just starting the DCU, and you'll need some successful stuff to, like, you know, kind of get on your feet. So I feel like that's going to be a hard balance as far as like good box office records versus like fuck it projects, so to speak, where, you know, they do something unique and different that may not be so successful at the box office and hit with the general audience. So hopefully Gunn can find that balance when making these, you know, TV, films, shows, etc. And I'm sure like WB will do their best to help him out with that too. Now on to some more major news. Actually, this just happened. James Gunn came out and said DC will not be at Comic-Con this year. As you may or may not know, usually James Gunn is the best source for DC, and with that, unfortunately, he is the source this time. And he said they won't be attending Comic-Con this year. Likewise to their rival Marvel, since they revealed the Superman and Lois Lane casting. What could they give us at Comic-Con? That's the thing, they probably don't have anything to show us as of right now. He did say maybe they will come next year, but this year they were supposed to go, I think, like to reveal the Superman and Lois castings for Superman Legacy, but the casting was broken by one of the major outlets and then it was confirmed. So, you know, like at that point, like why even bother to go? Like there's no need for them to go if they don't have anything new to show. Hey, that rhymed. But they probably don't have any concept art done yet, which means they're likely not even like close to like having a suit done, or like nothing that's gonna hint to us what their final product could look like, which is still like a couple years away. And I mean, like like this sucks, it is what it is, but I feel like we got to give DC some time. You know, they're trying to get off their feet essentially. Also, I guarantee they weren't going to come anyway, honestly, likely just because of the Flash movie disaster. As far as like the PR goes, like, yeah, I don't know. I really don't think they would have wanted to have that conversation on stage, because it would not have went well. So yeah, they're probably just going to try and move past this whole Ezra Miller thing. And I mean, like, you know, it is what it is. Speaking of the Flash, actually, let's talk about the Flash really quick. So I'm concerned for the Flash's future in the DCU. People have concerns for like Wonder Woman and Aquaman. I'm personally not invested into those characters, but we can talk a little bit about them too. So yes, the Flash did just come out with a movie. There's Aquaman 2 coming out as well, I'm pretty sure. With that, he hasn't said anything about these characters and their futures. I think it's sort of like a wait till their movies come out and we can talk about it then. However, I do think it's clear Ezra won't be staying, but that hasn't been confirmed from my knowledge. So, you know, that's still kind of a wait and see as well. Same thing goes for Aquaman, minus, you know, the IRL actor shenanigans PR problem. We have zero clue about the future of Aquaman. He hasn't said anything about that. Same thing with Wonder Woman, or well, no, actually, I don't know what's going on. That's confusing. It's been said she still is Wonder Woman, then it said she isn't. I don't know. It's a mess over there. But with that, when I think of DC, I think of the three main heroes, that being Superman, Batman, and the Flash. Like when you think of Marvel, you think Spider-Man, maybe Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man. I think the Flash is a crucial character in the space of DC, and I'm mainly concerned about the future of the Flash in the DCU because like he's talked about Batman with like the Brave and the Bold movie, Superman coming out with Superman Legacy, even like Green Lantern show he announced, you know, like we're gonna see the Green Lantern. So it's like, okay, that's cool. He's, you know, announced this Booster Gold stuff, but what about the Flash? Like, you know, like what's going on there? It's like, okay, is he at least planning to introduce a new Flash at some point? Like, does he even like the Flash enough as a character to even talk about him, you know? So I don't know, like what does James Gunn think of the Flash as a character in general, and does he like him enough to reboot him into his new universe? I hope so. At least like we do know for Superman Legacy, like it's gonna start as there's already superheroes established, so maybe the Flash could be one of those already established. Hopefully, who knows? I'm pretty sure we know Batman is going to be one of those already established, so hopefully the Flash is one of those already established as well. Speaking of Superman, let's talk about Supergirl. There was an interview last month with James Gunn and Collider. I missed it. They asked him to describe his version of Supergirl, and he responded with, Superman was sent to Earth and he was raised by incredibly loving parents, whereas Kara was on Krypton and she was on a piece of Krypton that drifted away from the planet and lived there for the past 14 years of her life among a horrible situation where she watched everybody die. So she's a much harsher and fucked up Supergirl than we've been used to before. This definitely sounds interesting to me, and I like how he's changing the typical origin and I guess eventually finds her way to Earth, it sounds like. But she's more traumatized than any Supergirl we've seen so far, which I think is fine and can work. I do wonder, you know, if, like, are they going to recast Supergirl or keep one of the previous actors? I honestly think Melissa Benoist was a great Supergirl actor. She fit the role really well in my opinion. Or even the one from The Flash could work again too, but they were both great, I thought. But we do know Melissa a little better than the Flash one, so I would prefer Melissa, but you know, either one of them could work, I think. I'm super excited for the Supergirl movie he's doing. Hopefully, you know, they do something really cool, creative with it. Hopefully the actor is casted good too. With that, what do you think of DC not making it to Comic-Con this year? What do you think of James Gunn's plans for Superman Legacy so far as the castings, and are you concerned like I am for the Flash's future in the new DCU? Make sure you comment your opinion down below so I can discuss all of that with you in the comment section. Thank you for taking time out of your day to click on this video. If you are new to the channel, I typically cover Spider-Man related scoops, rumors, leaks, confirmations for the games, movies, TV shows, and I try to upload as much as I can. Sometimes I cover DC stuff here as well. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. If you want more of this type of content, leave a like on the video. Don't forget to check out my latest video on the left if you haven't already. I hope you ever had a good day and that you enjoyed the video. Until next time.